Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. So the KCCPV is the last cruiser left, and then we're moving on to fighters or corvettes. And yeah, it's an interesting one because it's 16 CP, so you kind of wish it would be pretty good, but at 16 CP it's like 20,000 less hit points base. And that's like all the variants as well. They're all 52,000, where a lot of the cruisers sit at, you know, an extra 20,000, which is a 30-odd% increase for 2 CP, which is kind of puts the KCCPV in a weird spot where hasn't really got the tank of a cruiser. It's kind of like some kind of hybrid, but it has the CP cost almost of a cruiser. It's just bad in my opinion. I think if the KCCPV was around 12 CP, you could absolutely make use of it. But in the current iteration of the game and the meta, it just doesn't fit in anywhere. The only time you'll ever see these getting used generally is, well, there's two times. There's the aircraft type, which can get used to carry bullfrogs and use that as a very fast siege fleet. And the only other time you see them get used is very early on in the game, Server 1, Server 2, because no one's got any ships. And that's it. So you kind of, as soon as you get a better cruiser, this thing gets renegated to collect dust and shoved in a warehouse for the rest of its life, unfortunately. With the exception of the D-type being used as a siege vessel occasionally. But yeah, that's unfortunately about it. So it's kind of odd. It's a back row. This is the integrated type. It's a back row. It's got a fairly good missile system, but it has this ultra-heavy siege torpedo launcher, which can't seem to hit anything. This has got worse hit rates than like even the Spear, which is kind of funny. So generally, I wouldn't recommend running any of the variants. But yeah, anyway, your back row, you're probably going to get targeted by aircraft at some point. So I would probably pick up at least the 2 HP to start off with, just so you have, you know, some damage output. It's something else to note. This is 8,700 damage base. You can get destroyers for half the CP with the same damage output at base. So yeah, it's just in a really bad spot. I'm not a big fan. I just don't like the look of the ship either. It looks like somebody's just thrown blocks together to build it. But there we go. After you go into the armor system, going into the integrated weapons platform here, you have 7 slots to play around with. Concentrate fire periodically is a terrible strategy at the end of the day. It generally doesn't do all that much, so I'd just recommend not picking this up. You are going to want as much hit rate as humanly possible on this thing, so pick up both hit rates, including the one against other cruisers. You will almost certainly need it. Not that you have much choice anyway, because you got siege damage here. And you got 7 slots to fill. And your 7 slots literally go hit rate, double cooldown, double damage, and you still got a spare slot, so maybe system HP here. You can use these as a pseudo siege IO if you go for the double siege damage instead of the double hit rate. You don't need the hit rate so much when attacking the outposts and stuff. So you go double damage, double cooldown, double siege, and then you pick up the single generic hit rate in that instance. And it does okay siege damage. The Torp itself does the majority of the siege damage, and its hexadecker fire missile system, it does some siege damage. This is mostly its anti-ship, with a large ultra heavy siege torp just really struggles to hit anything. So most of your damage comes from this missile system. So you're just trying to buff that up as much as possible here. Hence the double hit rate cooldown. and the double damage. Because at 250 damage, it's not bad. But unfortunately, the damage output is generally just pretty low. After that, propulsion system. You can use these as scouts. Double cruising speed, actually, because they are quite quick at base. At 650 cruising speed base, although everything goes 1200 now, so it doesn't matter too much. But you can get that acceleration up, or down, I should say, pretty quickly. So yeah, double cruise speed, warp speed, if you're going to run it in that kind of setup where you're just using them as scouts into radiation zones. If not, double warp speed, cruising speed, if you are running them in a fleet for combat. It's a generic battery system. You can ignore this. It's mostly anti-aircraft. They don't have much damage. They struggle to hit anything. So I would go fighters, double cooldown here, lock on. And I think you get an extra 1 slot there, so you can get the extra damage. Although I'd recommend picking up the hit rate instead of the damage there, because the damage doesn't do much, so the other hit rate versus frigates, destroyers, in the off chance that the aircraft are all dead, you can get a little extra DPM out of it, but just don't expect it to really do all too much. Command system. You got increase the hit rate at KCCP cruisers in the fleet during the first 2 firing rounds by 5%. I tried like a full KCCPV fleet once with this in it, and it was still so low damage that like 4 chimeras, heavy cannon chimeras, just like flat out made was better. So, you know, if this is your only ship, that's how you set it up. Over onto the pulse cannon. It gets a little bit better with the pulse cannon because you just get this giant pulse turret, which does, 300 damage per hit. Pulse turrets are pretty accurate as well. You lose the missile system though, which is probably the best part of the integrated type. But yeah, and I think you move forward a row as well. Yeah, you go to mid-row on this thing. So with mid-row in mind, armor system first for absolute certainty this time. Double ship HP. And probably go 1 energy res, 1 physical, but you can argue 2 energy res depending on what you're facing. A lot of Tauruses around, but Eris heavy cannon is pretty predominant in a lot of fleets. So, you need some armor, and I would pick up the armor in my opinion, just split it. 20% energy resistance is quite good. 30% is better, but it's not necessary. Go into its rapid fire. Pulse after that, and you want both the hit rates here. You can ignore the hit rate against cruisers and higher class ships, but go double hit rate here, double cooldown. You only have 6 slots, which is a little bit unfortunate, because it actually has like okay damage at 300, giving 30 damage for the 10% buff's quite nice, but it also has the intercept chance, and I actually quite like picking the intercept up on this thing if I am going to use it, which is pretty much never nowadays, not gonna lie, but so you go double hit rate against frigates, destroyers, double cooldown, single damage, and single damage and the intercept. You can opt to drop the intercept for the extra damage. Again, it's got rapid fire. This is not a very good strategy again, in my opinion, so I would probably just ignore it. Generic Exodiah gets separated from the main system. So at least you got that going for it. Go for hit rate, double cooldown. I think you have 5 slots and it only has 5 options. So, that's quite simple. Hit rate first, cooldown second, and damage third. I don't know why it's separated on this and not on the integrated type. It does make this quite a bit more tech point hungry. Which is a bit of a shame. No command system though on this version. Prop system is the same as the A-type. You will use this more in fleets, so go double warp speed, cruising speed, although you can use it as a scout, I guess, and go double cruise into warp. Generic battery system is pretty much terrible on this thing as well, so double hit rate, double cooldown is an option, or go double single hit rate against the fighters corvettes, double cooldown, and the lock-on efficiency is probably the better option there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the pulse. Over onto the railgun type. This again drops that integrated torp system, and you get a bow-mounted railgun now. It has a massive damage per hit. Unfortunately, with all railgun systems, it really, really struggles with hit rate. So absolutely hit rate first, and hit rate against cruisers and higher class ships is required on this, in my opinion. You can go siege here. It has actually got good siege damage, so do consider this running in a siege fleet again. Bear in mind, you can bring 12 of these, so that's quite a lot of siege damage potential, and they're fast for cruisers. I think they're as fast as IOs, so they are the fastest cruiser classes in the game, the IOs and these. So they can get into position to seriously, you know, hit an outpost quick and hard. So yeah, double hit rate, double cooldown, and then if you're running it for siege, run double siege. You have like a lot of slots to play around with. You got 7 again. So you can go double siege, and you have a spare slot, I believe. So yeah, double cooldown, double hit rate, double siege. Pick up one of the extra damages here. Or if you're not running siege, go double hit rate, double cooldown, double damage, and maybe pick up one of the siege mods just in case, the off chance that you do run these into bases after killing enemy fleets. I should say, actually, if you are running the siege, actually drop the cruiser hit rate, just keep the base one and go double damage there instead. So that'd be hit rate, double cooldown, double siege, double damage. And that'd give you the most bang for your buck, as it were. Generic platform is the Hexadecker fire missile system still. So again, same as before, hit rate, double cooldown. You get hit rate for fighters and corvettes on this version. Did I miss out on the other one? Either way, I wouldn't recommend this shooting aircraft. They won't hit. So hit rate, double cooldown, weapon damage is what I'd go for here. Yeah, there's no chance this is ever hitting anything. It's counter-attack in the first place. So don't worry about it trying to go for fighters and corvettes. Generic battery system, same as before pretty much. Hit rate against... Oh, it loses the hit rate against fighters, corvette. Why have they changed this so much on this one? It's been a while since I've looked at this one. Frigates, destroyers, but it has no hit rate against the fighters, even though it's prioritizing fighters. Oh, devs, why do you do it to me? Why is the Hexadecker fire system got its... I'm going to go moan to the devs and see if they'll fix it. I don't believe the Hexadecker fire should have this hit rate. It isn't on the other versions. It is on this one. It should be on the generic battery system, and this firing assistance enhancements against frigates destroyers should be on the Hexadecker fire. So this one seems like they've missed a mark here. You got 5 slots. In the meantime, run double cooldown, double damage, and the lock-on efficiency. When they bring in the hit rate, drop one of the damages for the fighter corvette hit rate once they move that over, because yeah, no, that's got to be wrong, right? There's just no way. Armor system, same as before. They upgrade it at the start. You are again in mid-row with the railgun type. Aircraft type. This one's an interesting one because it's the only way to carry large fighters in that isn't a carrier. So this actually gets a little bit more use further in, because some people just don't get carriers for a while. It can take a few servers sometimes, and they get stuck in a position where they got Vetus Bs and the like. And if you are in a situation where you have some of the top bombers, the Stingray, the Vetus B, you know, those really high damage dealers, but you don't have a carrier, you can run this, the KCCPV, to try and get them in. It is worth it in that one situation. The other situation is using this for siege and running it with bullfrogs, because bullfrog siege damage is very, very good. It's pretty good. which is nice because at least bullfrogs have, you know, some use. Otherwise, they'd be completely pointless. Although they've got the highest crit potential in the game, but they just don't crit enough. So yeah, you move back to the back row at least with this type. So armor system, just the HP's enough here, and I would probably take the armor system here over the energy res, and that's because we're seeing a lot more physical damage coming in than energy nowadays. And then into its aircraft loading system. When the enemy fleet includes corvettes, it deploys aircraft UAVs to attack these targets as priority and reduces attack duration by 45%. Now this would be great, but you got two large fighters. The top fighters, the top large fighters have absolutely no business doing AA. So this strategy becomes completely pointless. Until we get some kind of heavy fighter, this strategy is useful as a wet paper towel. So I would just flat out ignore that it exists for the time being. Use this for your bombers and the like. And yeah, you want to go hit rate here because upping the hit rate on the likes of Vitus Bs is very, very good. You also want to pick up as much of the damage, and it is triple damage on this, which is actually really nice. And considering, you know, you've got what is this, 5-6 slots to play with. Hit rate triple damage uses 4 of your slots up, 5 for your cooldown, and then you sat with, you know, siege damage or system HP. I would recommend the system HP. Hangars can get destroyed, like I said with the Predator in the previous video. Some people do like targeting them, and this will just help a little bit out there. The strategy is useless, and the siege damage is only really worth it if you're picking bullfrogs. Now, for the siege version, it's the same thing, pretty much, and you just pick this city weak point identification, and then you got even more siege damage, plus triple damage on bullfrogs, which is actually quite nice. So yeah. That's pretty much it. Generic platforms, the same hexadeca missile system, but they've got the hit rate correct on this one. No, they haven't got it correct on this one. It targets small ships, and they've given it the ability to shoot fighters and aircraft and corvettes. But yeah, so I would ignore that. Pick up hit rate, double cooldown, and one of the damages for the 4 slots. Moving on to its generic battery system, which is going to have frigate destroyer. Of course it bloody is. Generic character that prioritizes aircraft. And we're going to give you hit rate against frigates and destroyers. Double cooldown, double damage, or double cooldown, single damage, lock-on efficiency. Oh, you got 5 slots, so it's double cooldown, double damage, and the lock-on when they change this over, because I can't believe I didn't notice this before. I will have to ping the devs, because yeah, it doesn't make any sense that you got an anti-aircraft system with hit rate against frigates, destroyers. This should be cruisers and corvettes. And yeah, that is it for the KCCPV. The propulsion is the same as the other 3. Double cruise, warp if you want to use it as a scout, or if you're using it in the siege configuration. Double warp, cruise if you're using it anywhere else. And yeah, it's an awkward shit because, like I said at the start, it's 16 CP. It hasn't got the damage output. It hasn't got the tank. For the 16 CP, the only time you generally use it is those couple of times where you might use it for siege, a scout into radiation zones where you need a cruiser scout, and yeah, that's unfortunately about it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.